continue with the reading and commentary from Hatha Yoga Pradipika. So the last verse we read yesterday, just to have a review. The practitioner of Hatha Yoga should live alone in a small mata or monastery situated in a place free from rocks, water, fire, to the extent of a bow's length, in a fertile country ruled by a virtuous king, where he will not be disturbed. So I explained this different levels of Hatha Yoga. You know, traditionally Hatha Yoga was practiced always like this, in seclusion. The traditional Hatha yogis were living these caves or in the huts, very secluded places, alone, and just do this sadhana all the time. So the Hatha Yogas, we know it nowadays, that we go to a yoga place or a yoga center or the studio, and then you have so much, group activities and so. This came later. This is a modern thing. And of course it is also important and needed. There was several masters, especially Swami Sivananda. He saw that the world was needing yoga very badly. There were many masters who had a vision, like in the end of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century, and then later on, several masters like Vivekananda and Swami Shivananda and others, they had a vision that the humanity was getting into a very danger kind of point, because our technology had grown much more than our spirituality. We developed such a powerful technology. We had atomic bombs and all kind of weapons to destroy everything, and still spiritually we were not grown at all. We were still like in kindergarten. So that was a very, very dangerous situation. So these great masters, on that vision, they start to send the disciples to the West. And that was unheard before, because yoga was more of a secret kind of practice. To learn yoga, you had to go, to meet with a guru and spend with the guru in a little ashram in some, forest or Himalayan mount, and it was even very difficult to get somebody to teach. You need to be a really sincere aspirant, and you need to be qualified by having a lot of virtues already developed, and only then a guru will accept a student. Nobody was doing advertising, come to learn yoga, and here I am, I know, please come. It was not the ancient way, but it became a necessity for the modern world because of that imbalance between the development of technology and the lack of development of spirituality. Therefore, yoga masters sent their disciples, and one of them was Swami Shivananda, who sent especially Swami Vishnudevananda to the West to really spread the teaching of yoga massively to everybody, so that it will really make a change in the mentality, in the awareness of the Western people. So like that, Swami Vishnudevananda came, and a few other important yogis start to come at around that same period. And their teaching, you can see how much it has changed our society. You can see in the past 20, 30 years, only in these 20 years, the power of yoga, how it affected psychology, medicine, healing, even social things, even politics. Everything has been affected so much by the teachings of yoga. Now yoga is becoming like a mainstream thing. So many millions of people are now practicing yoga, meditation, in their daily life. And that was the vision of these great masters, that only to bring a balance of that danger, to avoid this destruction of this world by our stupid weapons and wars and ambitions. And so the only way that could counteract that was yoga, because yoga will teach each individual to find inner peace, and when there is inner peace, only then it will be outer peace or world peace. So that was Swami Vishnu's message. So he came to teach yoga, but he was a peace missionary, and he had a very strong idea about bringing world peace by teaching individuals how to find their inner peace. So he said that the only way that there will be world peace is if the people find first the peace inside. Because you cannot find the peace outside by any means, like there is no political ideology, there is no any ism, communism, capitalism, socialism, whatever you want to call it. No ism is going to bring the world peace. All the isms have just brought more war and more differences and confrontations and fanatisms of all kind, even religious fanatisms or so. So this is not the way that the world is going to get peace. But it's only when there is enough people who have an inner practice and they find their peace inside, then they will affect hundreds and other peoples in their life. And that's how the idea of the TTC actually came about. When Swami Vishnu had right here in this temple that vision of the world in flames, and he envisioned the need to train future leaders of humanity. That's how he called it, the TTC. He said the TTC is a training for the future leaders of humanity. Not leaders who want power and position, but people who will be in peace, and they will be influencing hundreds or thousands of people in their lives. These people taking yoga, TTC, and then they go out and then they teach to others and influence. And like now, even so many other yoga organizations that are now out there teaching yoga, I tell you, a great majority of them, they started by taking the TTC. If you look what's the yoga world nowadays, most of them have an origin with the Sivananda lineage, mostly through Swami Vishnu, but also through other disciples of Swami Sivananda, who did also great work in spreading yoga. So that's how yoga came to be popular and practiced in the way it is now. But this is only one level of yoga. Still, when you want to go into the deeper level of yoga, even in Hatha yoga, then there is a need to go into a retreat, even momentarily. Even a person that has a lot of duties in the world and has a mission to fulfill in the world needs to go sometimes in seclusion to recharge the batteries. Even Swami Vishnu was doing that. Of course, when he was young, he spent a lot of time in the cave in the Himalayas doing this intensive sadhana himself. Then after he came to the West, his life was dedicated to service. Mostly he dedicated to spread yoga as much as possible and to help as many people as possible. But still, he was going like, once in a while, once a year, twice a year, he would go to his cave and then plunge himself into intensive sadhana and then come back. And he said that was like charging the batteries. It's like, you have your cell phone battery, gets dry, then you plug it in, you charge it, and then you continue. So like that, you need to go out, recharge yourself, and then you can go back into the world and do your duty, continue your service, your dharma, and helping many people. But this kind of seclusive sadhana is very very uplifting, very recharging. And that's how really the practice of advanced Hatha Yoga has to be done. As I said yesterday, some practices, you cannot do them while you're living in the world, in the society. You need to do them in a retreat environment. So the yogi goes to that place alone, finds a suitable hut or place to live. Now he describes how the little hut should be. He says the mata is like a little hut for a yogi, should have a very small door and should be without any windows. It should be level and without any holes. Why should have a small door and no windows? Because the yogi don't want to get distracted by the outside things. He just want to be in that place, just to go inwards. See, normally our senses are all the time catching our mind. Our mind and our prana goes out to the senses. You see something nice, immediately your eyes go there, your mind follows, your prana follows, and then you hear something, and then you see another thing, and like that you are always putting your prana out, and that continues the mind going out, and this vrittis going on all the time. And everything you see, everything you hear, everything you perceive creates a vritti, creates an impression and a wave in your mind. So when you want to do this deep sadhana, then you try to withdraw yourself. You try to cut all the distractions. Even, even if it's a very nice view, you don't want to view anything out there. You just want to view inside. You look within. You hear within. You want to practice pratyahara, withdrawal of the senses. So you try to avoid all distractions as much as you can. So it should be level without any holes. It should be neither too high, not too long. It should be clean, being daily smeared over with the cow dung, and should be free from all insects. So the cleanliness of the place where you practice is very important. If the place you're going to practice is all dirty, it creates a tamasic kind of energy. Your mind will perceive it and will be in that tamasic mood. So cleanliness is part of the sattva, part of the purity, and if you are practicing on a clean place, it will affect your mind also and create a clean state of mind. Now in the ancient time they didn't have cement floor or ceramic floor like this. So what they did is to avoid the insects and the floor getting muddy, and so they create a floor with cow dung, and they still do that in India. If you go to our ashram in Nair Dam, they have a big yoga deck, big as the tennis court here or even larger, and it's all made of cow dung. So what they do is they make the cow dung, they mix it with water, they make like a paste, then they put it on the floor, and then they make it very compact, and then when it dries, it is like it looks like cement, but it's not as hard. Actually, it's very nice to do asanas there because the floor is not hard. I mean, it's hard enough to be solid and steady, but it's not like a hard floor or like a hard wood. And that was a traditional way to practice. And still, the villagers there, the people who live in these small huts, they have their houses covered by this cow dung. And it has also properties that it avoids the insects. They made this floor and the insects don't go in. I don't know why. There is some kind of something in this cow dung that keeps the insects away. You might think, oh, cow dung, it looks like unpleasant or unnice. No, but no, once the cow dung is dry, it doesn't smell at all, it doesn't have anything, it just becomes like a dry mud. It's like dry mud, and it's very pleasant, it smells fine, and actually keeps the insects away. Then outside it should have a small corridor with a rice seat and a well, and the whole should be surrounded by a wall, like a fence around. These are the characteristics of a yoga mata as laid down by the Siddhas who have practiced Hatha Yoga. So that's how they did. They have a hut, they're surrounded by a fence so that they keep their privacy, not anybody who might be walking or so doesn't disturb them. They have a well there to get always fresh water, and then they have a seat which is not, you should not do the sadhana in a place which is like a hole, like underground, but also you don't want to be in a place too high because maybe you might fall down or something. So there has to be a little bit above the floor. You make like a deck like this, let's say, and you do your sadhana there. Living in such a place, the yogi should free his mind from all cares and practice the yoga as taught by his guru. So first of all, you want to forget everything else, as I mentioned before, no distractions, no worries, no other concerns other than just your sadhana. And then what kind of sadhana do? You do according to the teaching of your guru. So you need to have a guru for Hatha Yoga. It's very, very important. and you need to follow the instructions explicitly. Just do exactly what the Guru say. He should begin pranayama only with the guidance of his Guru. Now it talks about the obstacles to the practice of yoga. The yogi perishes by overeating, hard physical labor, too much talk, the observance of unsuitable vows, promiscuous company, and unsteadiness. So this is the causes by which a person fails to be successful in the sadhana. One is overeating. You know, when you eat too much, your stomach gets too full, you cannot practice properly. There is one very important teaching in Hatha Yoga and also in other branches of yoga that is called Mitahara. And it's one of the most difficult things, but yet one of the most important things. It's considered, especially in Hatha Yoga, the most important thing is that when you eat, instead of eating until you feel full, you should eat only filling half of your stomach with solid food, then 1/4 with liquid food, and then 1/4 should remain empty. So let's say, depending what kind of food you eat, if it's more liquid or solid, you have to calculate that half should be solid, 1/4 liquid, to include a soup or water or something, and then leave some space free, because that free space will allow the digestion to be done quickly and will not create pressure on the abdomen and pressure on the diaphragm muscle. If your abdomen is full, you get the pressure on your diaphragm, then you cannot do pranayama, things like that. So if you eat light, then the digestion goes on easy, and then you preserve also the prana. You don't have to spend so much energy in the process of digestion itself. So because you're supposed to eat and get energy from it, but sometimes when you eat too much, you spend more energy digesting that food than what you're actually getting from it. So it's very important to be moderate. And this is most difficult because it's easier to fast than to eat moderately. You know, fasting is not so difficult. Maybe the first time you do it, you're not used to it, might be difficult. But after you fast, let's say 1 day, 2 days, then you lose the hunger, you can continue fasting. But the fasting is not good when you do advanced Hatha Yoga. You can do some fastings before. I mean, occasionally you can do some fasting. It's very good to remove toxins from the body, especially if you do fasting on the kriyas. That will really help you to get toxins out of the body. Now, when you go into the intensive sadhana practice, then you cannot fast. You have to eat, because the agni, the digestive fire, will be increased. And if you have no food, that fire will consume your body. So you need to have a proper food, and food that is suiting for that agni, food that has Ayurvedic quality called ojas. I'm not going to discuss too much right now. Maybe in another time we can discuss more about this connection. But it's a special diet also for Hatha Yoga, and leaving part of the stomach free. Then the other thing is hard physical labor. So also when you do this kind of retreat practice, when you do this kind of retreat sadhana, where you just do sadhana, you don't want to do things that are physically strenuous. You don't want to go and lift heavy weights or just working for hours and hours in some physical thing, because that's going to divert your prana. It's going to divert the sadhana from the concentration. So you have to avoid this kind of overexertion. Of course, a yogi has to do these daily things. He has to clean his place and cook and get the food, whatever. So some physical action will be happening, but not things that are overexertion. Then, too much talk. Too much talking is one of the easiest way to lose all your prana, and also to scatter your mind and create so many vrittis. usually we talk a lot of unnecessary words. You see, our mind is like talking to itself all the time, and then you're always looking for somebody to, to talk. One mind talking to another mind, and just verities, and then most of the thoughts, most of the talk is really useless and unnecessary. So if you want to preserve your prana, there is one practice called mauna. Mauna means keeping silence, not speaking. And you can do it in different degrees. There is complete mauna, like Swami Vishnu Devananda also used to do sometimes. Complete mauna for a certain period of time. He will not speak to anybody. And then that's a way that you really also charge your battery, because you save so much prana from that. And the other thing is you apply the 3 rules. There is a master who said, before you open your mouth, ask yourself 3 questions. If you can answer yes to the 3 questions, then you may open your mouth. If not, keep it shut. He said, first, before you're going to open your mouth, ask yourself, is what I'm going to say truthful? Is it truth or not? Right? So never say anything if it's not the truth. Never say a lie, even joking. There's no need to say lie. Just say something only if it is a truth. That's one rule. The second rule, ask yourself, is that I'm going to say going to create any benefit? Is beneficial? Like, suppose I say something, what's going to be the effect of that word? What kind of karma, you see? Our vak, our speech, is one of our karma indriyas. We create karma also, action through our speech. So maybe I say something to somebody, the person feels hurt, the person, has a negative reaction from it, and then what you're going to say, is it really going to bring something good or not? Then if it's not going to be good, then don't say it. Then the third question, ask yourself, is that necessary to be said? Because sometimes, okay, maybe you want to say something which is good, and is it true, but there's no need to say it. Why to say it? There's no need. Then if there is no need, then don't say it. So only say something if it's needed, if it's beneficial, and if it's truthful. Then you might open your mouth and say something. Otherwise, keep it shut, and you will save a lot of energy, and a lot of verities, and also a lot of karma that we are creating through our speech. Then also another thing is the observance of unsuitable vows. Some people make vows which are like extreme, like they say, for example, in India, you will see some people make a vow they never cut their nails anymore. So they walk with their nails long like this, and then things like that, or they make a vow that they will just sleep on a bed of nails, or they make strict vows, or vows that are somehow going to disturb the practice, that are not needed for the practice of Hatha Yoga, and it's just a mind holding to some fixated idea, like a bit of fanatism, then that's not conducive to good in the sadhana. And then promiscuous company. So also, when you want to do Hatha Yoga, you really want to control all your energy, fix it in one point. So any kind of promiscuity will be just spreading your energy outwards. You will release your energy. When you practice this kind of secluded sadhana, then that's why it says you live alone. You don't want to be with anybody. So even married people, they go to live alone during that time. You have to practice brahmacharya, you have to withdraw, save your sexual energy, because otherwise that's one way that you're going to release and scatter your prana outwards in a very easy way. So you need to save all this energy for the sadhana. That's why this is like a full dedication of all your energy into that practice. and abandoning the bad company. So, actually, that's the next verse. Let me. Okay, the other thing is unsteadiness. That's another cause of failure in your practice, is unsteadiness. So to be successful in the practice, you need to be steady. You need to do it again and again and again regularly for a long period of time. Let's say one day you practice, another day you don't practice. 2 days you practice, another day you don't practice. This practice, which is unsteady, is not going to bring the result. What happens is, the moment you lose the regularity, you fall. Once you fall, it's very difficult to catch up again. Suppose you have been progressing a lot in your sadhana, but then something happened that you get neglected. You stop doing it, you forgot, there were some situations came there, you stop it. Then it's like you've fallen. Then when you want to start again, it's going to be so difficult. It's like you have to start from scratch again. So always it is advisable not to interrupt the practice, especially when you are in that retreat, in this kind of practice. You have to continue very regular. Now the opposite, and the things that help a yogi to succeed. The yogi succeeds by cheerfulness, perseverance, courage, true knowledge, firm belief in the words of the Guru, and by abandoning bad company. So cheerfulness. This is a very important practice. Sometimes some people think that to be a yogi you have to be always serious, and you're not allowed to laugh, or you're not allowed to be happy, that you have to be like a martyr, or you have to show that you are suffering so much. This is a wrong notion. And if any of you who met Swami Vishnu Devananda, and he was like laughing all the time, and he would make us laugh all the time, saying joke. And I remember when I took my TTC with Swami Vishnu, I had one problem. My problem was that my muscles from my face used to cramp, because I was laughing so much, and then these muscles started to feel pain in the muscles from laughing and laughing. He used to take one joke after the other. But at the same time, he was not rajasic. Rajasic means he was not just distracting mind. He was cheerful, he was happy, but also very focused, very serious, very responsible at the same time. So it's not just a scattered state of mind where you are just like in a party. And no, he was very disciplined, but at the same time, cheerful. Then perseverance. Do it again and again and again. Sometimes you want to do something and it doesn't happen. Let's say you want to practice headstand and you cannot make it. Then what you have to do, persevere, try it, keep trying it every day, insist. Eventually you will do it. So like that with all the other practices, maybe in the beginning they are difficult, just keep doing. And with perseverance you get it. Courage. To be a yogi, it requires quite a lot of courage, because it's like you're going to go against the current, against the trend. Like most people are going, it's like going downhill. It's like not doing any effort to control the mind, just allowing the mind to go wherever it goes, and then it goes like downhill. That's very easy, and then you just follow the masses. You follow what everybody does, like this. But then to decide to go in the opposite direction, it requires a lot of courage. First, because you're going to feel in the beginning that you are like against the current. You go, especially not here in the ashram, because but if you go to the city and in life, everybody is going into the opposite direction. And then you have to be courageous to stay on do the practice that you feel that you really want to do and you have to do. And a lot of it is unknown. You don't know what's going to happen. Also, the moment you start really connecting the prana and the apana and opening the sushumna, the mind, you see, dies for the world, you lose all your connection to the world of the senses, and you start to have all kind of other experiences. And in the beginning, you might become very afraid. And sometimes many people, you see, they are meditating, but the moment you start to get out of your body consciousness, the people get very, very scared about it. Because that, that body consciousness, that attachment to the material object is like, it gives you the sense of security. You feel, okay, this is what I know, this is what I always know, and I always feel this gives me security. Suddenly if you have to live up and you feel like you are going out of your body, or you feel you are going out of this material consciousness, then in the beginning it can be a very frightening experience. So you need to have courage to do it. But of course you need to do it with the right guidance, with the guidance of the Guru, with the proper means. But if you do it properly, there is nothing to fear about it. But still, your mind is going to have a resistance to it because of the attachment to that security that the senses and the body give you. You see, your whole frame of support for your own personality is based on your physical identity and your perception through the senses. All your mind, all the sense of who you are, and all the sense of security that you have is based on that. You remove that, you don't know where you are. So you need to be very courageous, have that faith, and that's the next point, have that faith and the courage to go on that direction. And it happens. You want to meditate, you meditate maybe for many years, nothing happened. One day something will happen. You do sadhana, someday this will happen. You're going to go out of your physical consciousness. You're going to even go out of your physical body, awareness of your physical body. And then, you're going to lose that sense of security that you have. True knowledge. Okay, so you need to know what you're doing. So if you're doing sadhana, you're doing the wrong sadhana, you don't have the right knowledge of what to do, then you're going to make mistakes. And you make mistakes, especially if you're dealing with with high levels of prana and shakti and the mind. You make mistakes. You can harm yourself. So you need to have the right knowledge, and the right knowledge you get from the right teacher. Firm belief in the words of the Guru. So you have to have the faith in the Guru. The Guru might tell you there is something higher, and you don't know. All you know is your experience through your senses, and they tell you, oh, okay, there is a Atman, there is a bliss, comes from the meditation, there is a bliss in the self, there is another state of mind which is not that waking state. You don't know. You've never been there, so maybe it's a fantasy. Maybe, who knows? But then, if you doubt too much, then you're never going to do the practice. If you don't believe, you're never going to start. So some faith is necessary. So you have to have faith in the Guru. It's like somebody comes and tells you a map how to get to the yoga retreat. So you have to go, fly to Nassau, and then you take and go to the dock, and then the boat, and so somebody told you that, and you believed it, and then you came here. Suppose you didn't believe, then you will not even, do the first step to come here. You will be still in your home. So there's some belief, some faith has to be there. And then the faith will become stronger as you start getting the experience. Because, let's say, if they told you that there is a place, and then you arrived to Nassau and you saw that, okay, there is Nassau airport is there. Okay, now you have more faith, because one thing you already experienced. Then they tell you, okay, you're going to go to the dock. And you went there, okay, it is there. So like that, you start to prove, step by step, that the teachings of the Guru, the spiritual teachings, are for real. But still, there might be things that you have not experienced yet. So you have to maintain that faith. And then the more you progress, the more faith you have. And by the abandoning of bad company. So again, this concept of the Sangha, the effect of the other people, the effect of the environment, the other minds that we associate with in our mind is extremely powerful. So we all have a mixture of a lower nature and a higher nature, as I explained yesterday. And then when you are with people who are advanced in the higher nature, then your mind goes and develops your higher nature. When you are exposed yourself to people with lower qualities, then your mind will also develop more of these lower qualities. So you see, you take one person, you put it in an environment, and the person will absorb a lot of that environment. So let's say if you want to do sadhana, then you hang out with people who are doing exactly the opposite and don't believe anything about yoga and the sadhana, and they're just living the life just for, just for eating, drinking, and, smoking, whatever. And then there is no other interesting, and you hang out too much with these people, then you're not going to succeed in your sadhana, because your mind is going to be very polluted by it. You're going to go and meditate, you have so many doubts. All these thoughts of these other people will be in your mind. They're like seeds, and then you will not have the determination, the inspiration to go on with your sadhana. That's why the satsang, satsang, the word sang or sangha means association, a group of people joining together, and then sat means the truth. So means an association of people that are looking for the truth, people that are looking for the realization, the sat. And the best association, satsang, is the company of a guru, of an advanced soul. But even if there is not such an advanced soul, even the company of other people who are practitioners, other devotees, other seekers, that also is going to be very helpful, because you encourage each other, you inspire each other, you uplift each other, and then the group practice has a power in itself. So there is three things. There is something called satsanga that I just explained. There is another thing is the opposite of satsanga. It's called kusanga or dusanga. This means the wrong company. This is what it says here, you have to avoid. Avoid the wrong company. And then what Shankaracharya says the best is nissanga. Means don't have any company. Just be alone. And then, so it's a good company, bad company, and no company. So the good company, of course, is much better than the bad company. Eventually, you have to be by yourself. Because you see, the process of meditation is really an internal practice. Eventually, you have to go alone and find it within yourself. Once you find it within yourself, then you will find it everywhere else also. Because it's not that the truth is inside and it's not outside. Actually, everything what exists outside is also created by what you have inside. It's just a reflection of what you have inside. Because you have attracted this through your own karma, and everything is just like a mirror of yourself. But if you're looking outwards, your prana going outwards, you never get that experience of meditation. So first you have to go inwards to get the full experience of meditation. Then the realization comes that everything is one. That whatever you look, whatever you see, everything is God. But that's the experience of a realized being, like what we call a jivan mukta, a saint. He doesn't need to do pratyahara because he's looking at the people and he's seeing God. He's looking at a dog and he sees God. He looks at a stone and he sees God. It's not that he thinks, he just sees that, he experiences that. Then for him there is no even need to close the eyes. He's just seeing God everywhere. So that's the stage of the highest knowledge. The real sage has that experience. But before that you need to train yourself to go and to find it within, to find the Atman within. Then you will find the Atman everywhere. Okay, it's time to finish. And